When we began this race for the presidency, everybody said it couldn't be done. But tonight, I tell you with absolute confidence, we are going to win the Democratic nomination.
Senator Bernie Sanders vowing to fight until the bitter end, predicting that he will be the Democratic nominee despite surprising losses to Joe Biden in states that Sanders had expected to win. Joining me now is Tom Perez, the chair of the Democratic National Committee. Mr. Chairman, thanks very much for being with us.
Always a pleasure, Andrea.
Well, first of all, there's the endorsement from Mike Bloomberg. He's dropped out. He's offered support to Joe Biden. What can he do? Will Joe Biden accept it? How do you merge these two forces together?
Well, that'll be up to the vice president. I saw what he said, accepting the graciousness of Mayor Bloomberg, and we have a long way to go. And you have more experience than just about anyone I know, and you see the momentum shifts in campaigns. We're 40% of the way through this campaign. We're not halfway to the finish line quite yet, and we've got a lot more work to do. And that's what we're trying to do at the DNC, is make sure we're continuing to build this infrastructure. What inspires me the most about the entire primary process, Andrea, is the incredible turnout. Again, record turnout yesterday. We had record turnout in New Hampshire, record turnout South Carolina. Both Senator Sanders and Vice President Biden are inspiring voters, and we're expanding the electorate. That's what we need to do. Continue to get more people out there and voting. And that's exactly what's happening across this country. And then at the end of our primary cycle, I am confident we will come together and unite, because we all know that our democracy is on the ballot this November.
Well, what makes
Every
you so
single
confident,
candidate knows.
though? With all due respect, it didn't happen last time. With all the talk of unity, there was really no unity, and there was a lot of resentment from the Sanders people. What makes you think, after what you just saw, that Bernie Sanders is going to embrace Joe Biden after the way he's criticized him if he comes up short on delegates?
Well, hey, look at 2008. Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton had a spirited campaign that went all the way to the end, and they came together. They came together as Democrats because we understood.
Sanders.
Well, I have great faith in whoever wins the nomination. Senator Sanders, the vice president, they all understand that this is a different moment. This is the most dangerous president in American history, Andrea. This is our democracy as we know it that's on the ballot. We can withstand 4 years of Donald Trump, but we can't withstand 8. And you see it in the voter turnout. 84% of the people who were polled in the exit polling yesterday said, I will vote, I will support whoever the nominee is. That's what we're going to do at the DNC. We've worked hard to make sure we're building trust. We engaged in very dramatic reforms of our primary process. We returned power to the people. We limited the role of superdelegates. Senator Sanders' team was part of that. They were a really constructive part of that.
I have great confidence.
I have great confidence that every candidate will abide by it. They understand the rules because they help make the rules.
That's not what he said at the debate. Now he's no longer in the lead, but at the debate he said that whoever had a plurality should be able to get the nomination.
I think everybody knows that what the rules are. Senator Sanders knows what the rules are, and I'm confident that Senator Sanders will abide by the rules. And I'm equally confident. I don't know who. Here's what I don't know. I don't know who's going to win the nomination. We're not halfway to the finish line yet. Yesterday was obviously a very important day, but we have more important days ahead. And so what we're going to see, and what I'm looking for, and what I anticipate that we'll see in the days ahead, Andrea, is the continued record and near record turnout in all of these states. That bodes well. If I'm Donald Trump and his team, I'm shaking in my boots, because we are seeing record turnout from everywhere across this country. We're expanding the electorate, and he knows that the only way that he can win is to try to divide Democrats, continue to cheat, accept foreign interference. I mean, it's remarkable to me that over the last 2 days, 14 tweets about the Democratic primary primary, 2 tweets about coronavirus. Mr. President, stop tweeting and start doing your job. And I can see that you're a little bit bent out of shape because Democrats are going to come together. We're united, we're energized, and we're going to be voting at record levels, not only in the primary, but come November.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.